I had a compulsion to blow up on my mother and call her a thief and whore, an impulse that I obeyed when I was too young to understand what compulsions and impulses are, or that my brain must be wired improperly to have the proclivity for these things. How am I supposed to explain that at 10 years old to my mother, especially while being tortured into doing so? How am I supposed to relate to it being shameful and embarrassing when that's an artificial construct that has nothing to do with anything, but is taken so seriously by my parents? I'm supposed to care about this artificial construct that a 10-year-old child shouldn't use words like that on his parents? Getting back to Skylar, as I said, unlike me, he had a social life. He was lucky enough to have friends that actually talked and responded back to him. I never did because I was hated by everyone, and in consequence, I was bitter and hated them in return, and had no faith in the people who tried to be nice to me. They all felt like jerks, and those who weren't jerks felt like they would be toward me if they knew enough about me, that I would never be good enough to fit in, that I would always be considered strange. Skylar didn't want to be stuck babysitting his kid half-brother or step-brother or whatever, while his mother is out partying with her friends. He wanted to be free with his own friends, and that's a wonderful thing to have friends, because maybe like once or twice in my life I felt some sense of belonging, and it's a wonderful sense, but it was so brief because I just don't have the means to go out and hang out with anyone. I'm not as closed in a person anymore that I used to be as a teenager, so it wouldn't be difficult for me to make friends now, but now there is no opportunity. But anyway, instead, Skylar was stuck obeying his mother, and there is nothing he could do about it. Like literally nothing he could do. He hates this little brother of his. The kid probably has no meaning to him, but he's forced to take care of him. He must stay home alone with him, doing chores, bored. I bet any time he complained about it, he was punished by his mother or bitched at. She would probably treat Skylar like a kid that has no say, no power. It's her house, and he's a servant and a slave. He can do whatever he wants, but only after he has done what she wants. So whatever emotions he has, anger at his situation, he can't express it because he's told it doesn't matter. He doesn't matter because he's underage, a kid, and he must listen to adults and only do as adults ask, that he has no power. Skylar could say, I hate this kid and I don't want to look after him, and these words would have no power. He would only get punished and scolded more for speaking them aloud. So he's trapped. He's trapped and he is full of anger and he can't do anything about it. That's what's fucked up about being a child and having no power. Your parents can tell you to do whatever, and you have to do it or get in trouble. So let's say you try to have some power. Try to make some power for yourself, even if society doesn't agree. And this is going to lead into the next important topic. Let's say instead of killing the 11-year-old from an impulse stemming from built-up rage, Skylar could have warned his mother that he will kill him before it happens. That if she leaves him to babysit this kid alone one more time, he will kill him. It would seem like a fair warning to make, except even this wouldn't help, because making death threats is illegal. He could end up arrested or punished even further or put into some kind of mental institution, but he will never actually get the freedom he wants, even by making this ultimatum. Everyone listening to this might pretend to have a solution to how to deal with the problem, except no one will actually accept that maybe everyone should have just done what Skylar wants to avoid this tragedy. It's like everybody conspired to make it so that no matter what, Skylar can't win. It's like it's an immutable law of physics or something, that no matter what, a kid like Skylar should never get his way. Only everyone else around him should get their way, and he must serve them to make sure they do. So if he spoke up about how he felt, he'd get punished. You make a threat or an ultimatum like that, you get punished. So eventually you're feeling with rage, you can't let out, and nothing can be done about. This kid Skylar hated his brother and hated his mother, both of whom just continued to be more and more annoying, and there was no way out. So Skylar just snapped and bashed the little asshole's head in. Usually when someone gets their head bashed in, it's a crime of impulsive rage. It's a crime where someone got fed up with the bullshit and had the impulse to end it, and unless you have a gun or a knife, and you happen to be stronger, you might just bash their fucking head in. But what else was there to do? Skylar was put between a rock and a hard place. He can't complain, he can't act on his anger, he has to bottle it all up. He has no power to affect any kind of change that won't get him into deeper trouble. Eventually this is the result, perhaps also combined with the fact that his brain is structured in a way that makes him slightly sociopathic, which is by no fault of his own. He did not kill his half-brother frivolously for one little tiny annoying thing that he might have done that night. It was for the combination of many annoying little things I'm sure that little kid did every day and every night. Many little things can accumulate into the size of one big thing. Whatever the 11-year-old did that night, it was like the final straw for Skylar. So Skylar ends up losing control and bashes the kid's head in. I would have done the same thing in his situation at that age. I never had siblings to deal with, but I've had plenty of annoying people in life and in school that I wish I could have done that to. My life was a million times worse than Skylar's. He had friends that spoke to him at least. He had a girlfriend. I had none of that. I was isolated and rejected by everyone, and I would have hurt people who bullied me at school if I didn't agree with most of the hurtful things they did and said, and if I believed I had the physical strength to overpower them. These are the only two things that kept me from ending up like this poor kid Skylar Attilano ended up now. Skylar had a momentary lapse into insanity, a loss of judgment, which, if you have the brain naturally wired for something like that, to be impulsive, it doesn't mean you should suffer and be punished. This is a kid who had his entire life's fate conspire against him, fate, something completely out of his hands. Imagine if he didn't have a crazy mother or an annoying brother. Would he be a killer now? Probably not. So what are we punishing people for? For ending up with the wrong fate? For ending up with the wrong kind of parents? The wrong kind of people that they don't mix well with, but have to live with them because there is nothing else to be done? You know, people that purposely act annoying in this world are the most vile kind of beings. They push and they push others, but the instant you do something wrong against them in retaliation, they run off crying for justice from someone stronger than them. They hide behind people tougher than them for protection, tougher than the person whom they were pushing over the edge. They hide behind police, security guards, whatever. They cry and moan, and they huddle, and they demand pity and protection, and for their poor, pathetic ideals and behaviors to be respected and enforced. Why they do this? It's because being annoying to someone is not illegal, which means you, in a way, can torture someone without risking going to prison by being annoying toward them. Provoking someone's rage is not illegal, and some people like to take advantage of that to hurt others. But if that person whom you provoked reacts back by punching you in the face or bashing in your head, oh, but that's illegal. See, annoying people are the most vile people because they learned how to legally torment others and still have the law on their side when anything is done in return against them. This is how cowardly these people are. They want to torture and enrage someone, but they want to be safe from consequences because they don't have the guts to actually hurt or torture someone in a way that would break the law. Because then they won't have anyone to go crying for help when the tide turns against them. My parents could do all sorts of abusive things to me, hurt me physically, all because I called them words they don't agree with, and then they would lie that it is I who will be in trouble with the law for doing it. They can pull my hair and hit me with the belt for my misbehavior, quote unquote, but it is I who is evil here. I am the monster. I will be the one in jail for hurting them with my bad words, or so they would lie to me. This is how manipulative and abusive people who purposely annoy others are. And they're the vilest kind, because you're the one who ends up in the wrong before the eyes of the law if you retaliate against them, and they will be left safe to play the victim. So Skylar's mother and his brother can be whatever jerks they want to be. They can keep this poor teenager from having peace, from having private time. His mother can go around and force him to do chores and complain about everything regardless how well he does it, and use Skylar as someone to bitch at about every little thing, and have him babysit some kid he doesn't give a shit about, so she can go get drunk, and it's all legal. It's all legal. Doesn't matter that this is upsetting Skylar, that this is hurting him. He has no say. Nothing he says will help. It will only hurt him more. I am probably the only adult in this entire world who would care about these teenager-type problems and actually be on the side of the teenager and feel some kind of heart-wrenching sensation for this kind of pain they go through.